All right, YouTube. So I got my Expos jersey on for my stint last year with the Santa Cruz Expos. So it's time for some baseball talk. There was a article that came from MLB Trade Rumors that says that the Giants and Indians are interested in Brian Dozier. The Indians, it makes sense because Jason Kipnis is having a very bad year, which is disappointing because I'm a big fan of Jason Kipnis. I love his batting stance, but I loved it when he was playing all those great years. But he hasn't really been able to really maintain it. I think he's getting old, to be honest. He's in his 30s now. But Brian Dozier, he's a guy that's known to have second half power. So I think it would be a very good move for the Giants to try and go for him. I mean, the Indians are probably going to get him, but even if the Giants try and go for Dozier, I'm kind of worried about the package that we would want to put together for that. I could see it maybe just a quick hot take. I've even considered throwing any relievers in there because I guarantee you that when Bobby Evans tries to make a trade, he's probably going to try and get some relievers as well, and pitching for that matter, because Samardzija just seems to not be able to stay healthy. And look, we just want to have deep pitching. That seems to be the mission statement of the Giants, but they really haven't had much success in that department for the last few years now. They've kind of mostly relied on Madison Bumgarner, and now it's kind of catching up to them because he's thrown a lot of innings. I still think he's healthy, but he can't do it all by himself, and Cueto can't do it all by himself. Derek Rodriguez is having a great year, but anyways, here's the thing: Joe Panic is a very smart baseball player, but the health thing, it just doesn't seem to be a very consistent thing. He's always I think recently it was his groin. So it'd be very wise for the Giants to try and go for Brian Dozier, because they might have to give up Chris Shaw probably. They might have to give up a guy like Aramis Garcia as well. But make sure that if you do that, get Dozier in there. You might even get Joe Mauer in there, believe it or not. Joe Mauer might come along as not even a contract up, but probably just they're going to give us Joe Mauer while eating a very significant portion of his salary, as the rest of his contract, which is very big, by the way, considering how poor of a player. I hate to say it, he's a very bad player for how much he's getting paid. But it would be wise for the Giants to maybe go all in on this, because look, you're probably going to have to give up Chris Shaw or Ramos Garcia. But at least, I guess the way I look at it is the Diamondbacks just got Eduardo Escobar. This is a guy that could probably, if he plays there next year, could probably hit 30 home runs in that park and hit 50 doubles and steal 20 bases. I mean, this guy's a very good player. It's kind of it's very frightening to know that he's going to be in the Diamondbacks uniform. But then there's also, obviously the Dodgers getting Machado, and then them talking about getting Harper as well. So we might as well try and, while we still have players on the field, at least a very faint pulse, we should try and get them. We should probably try and back it up. We should probably try and get guys like Dozier, even if he doesn't have a great second half, and Joe Mauer and all these guys, and probably some relievers. Ryan Presley went to the Astros. I can't name any Twins relievers off the top of my head. Sorry. Fernando Rodney? Is he still there? Yeah. Anyways, I think it's going to be worth the Giants' time to actually try and invest in this year, rather than trying to wait till next year, because chances are, a lot of guys are going to be injured next year because of old age and everything else, and just based off their medical track record. For the most part, Posey has been very healthy. He's actually played through a lot of injuries, and he hasn't seen any significant DL time for a while, ever since his broken leg. And it would be kind of interesting to have a guy like Joe Mauer come off the bench. Bench depth is always very underrated in baseball. It's essentially like your bullpen. You need to have people coming off the bench that can play defense, steal bases. You obviously need a backup catcher. You need a guy who can come up and give a really good at bat, take a lot of pitches. You could even get a guy like a 3 true outcome guy, and that's probably what Chris Shaw is probably going to develop into. Sorry about that. Chris Shaw is probably going to develop into a Joey Gallo type. Basically, like 3 true outcomes: Russell Branion, Jim Thome. Jim Thome's he's in Masterclass, but basically like that league right there. Who's another guy? Oh, Jeremy Hermida, like another three true outcome guy. Basically, guys that just hit the ball out of the ballpark, swing and miss a lot, and then basically pitchers are afraid to pitch to them, so they end up drawing a lot of walks. But I look at it like, get Dozier, you might have a chance to. Excuse me. He might have a chance to make the wild card. You're not going to win your division with the Dodgers there. I don't think it's going to happen. But even this, it's like maybe your best bet is to obviously is to win games, but maybe your best way into the playoffs is to actually win our division rather than relying on the wild card, because there are some teams out there in the National League that are starting to heat up now. And it's been very volatile this year. Like the Nationals are doing very poor this year, and the Reds had a very good finish to their first half. It was kind of funny. Like the Mets looked really good in the first month, and then they've looked awful ever since. Basically, there's a lot of parity going around, which is awesome because it's unpredictable. It makes it very entertaining for sports fans like me, and someone who likes to look at it from an analytics standpoint. That's a pretty good take. I'm going to end it there. See you guys later.